Hey everyone, and welcome to the Wrap Up Live. This is the official Raptors Republic live post-game show and podcast where we recap, dissect. We have some fun talking about the latest Raptors game you just watched. I'm your host, Sahal Abdi. I'm here with Oren Weisfeld. Oren, we haven't talked in a while. I'm excited for this one. This show is produced by, obviously, yours truly. And tonight, very unfortunately, oh my gosh, Oren, this one was tough. I thought the last game was tough. This one's even worse. Your Toronto Raptors were defeated by the Brooklyn Nets 119 to 116. It was a Kyrie Irving game winner, and that brought the Raptors record to now 13-16 on the NBA season. That's 3 games under 500. And last but not least, guys, you guys know I'll always ask you this every single show. If you love the Toronto Raptors, do us hardworking individuals at Raptors Republic a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as our podcast channel, The Rapcast, wherever you're watching or listening. Oren, I just told you before we went live that these games suck even more than the games where the Raptors just seem like they're down 10 or 12 the entire game, because the Raptors actually played really well in this game. And of course, it came down to the final 5 or 6 possessions. Fred hitting a couple big shots, Scotty with a great turn and twist on Ben Simmons, laying it up.
Did it come down to this?
And then it came down. A Utah big shot, and then it came down to that, which was the Kyrie Irving game-winning shot in typical Kyrie Irving snatchback crossover fashion.
That was disgusting, because I'm not going to lie, I called out on Twitter that I thought it looked like a push-off, but now on replay, I don't even think his arm touched him. I think he just got Fred with the step. Oof, wait, I gotta watch that again here.
I think it's one of those things where it's not necessarily a push-off. I think it's just Kyrie just using Fred's momentum against him. And it might be a little shove of the arm or whatever, but if you watch defenders and watch the leverage they use, a lot of times defenders, when they're when offensive players are aggressively driving right, you'll kind of just try and hold on to whatever piece of that offensive player you can. Sometimes it's their arm, sometimes it's their shoulder, sometimes it's their hip. And in this case, Fred, I guess, just believed Kyrie was driving right. And what can you say, Oren? We're talking about one of the best dribbling guards I think ever in the history of basketball. So and then also one of the most clutch guards I think in recent memory as well. So I guess, what were your thoughts on that final shot and just the back and forth with of course, in typical Raptors fashion, I guess 2005 Raptors fashion, a former Raptor, Yuta Watanabe, also hitting a big shot on us. What'd you think?
Yeah, like I don't know if I would say it's as bad as the last loss, because I felt like the Raptors made just so many mistakes against the Kings, and kind of preventable ones. Whereas this game, I think the Raptors played about as well as we've seen them play this season, honestly. You got to give some credit here to the Brooklyn Nets, who shot 60% from the field, and I don't think the Raptors played bad defense. So, like, honestly, that was some pretty crazy shot making from KD and Kyrie. That is kind of what they do, and so maybe you can blame the scheme a little bit for not getting the ball out of those guys' hands as much as you might have liked. But in general, man, the Raptors played so well, like on both ends of the floor. They put up 116 points. They shot 37% from 3, which has been the big concern recently. They got to the line way more than the Nets, or it's a couple more times than the Nets. And I thought they just did all the little things well. Honestly, that was a matter of shot making down the stretch. And yeah, KD and Kyrie, like, those guys are typically going to win the shot making battles down the stretch. So honestly, a lot of positive takeaways. We'll talk about it. Freddie, Scotty, really, really good games. Malachi out of nowhere, out of left field, really good game. But yeah, it does suck that the Raptors just can't find a way to win right now. But positive momentum, I think, nonetheless.
Yeah, and I think this is very weird to say as well, but I think they did gain some positive momentum from the game prior as well. Like, people forget, against the Kings, they did score 123 points. They did only lose by a single point, right? Fred did put up 39, right? Scotty did have a great game. I think he had 27, 10, and 8. I was talking about it on the last show. So this is, I guess, a positive step forward. But like I said, it's tough, Oren, to take a moral victory from a loss like this, just because you were in control in the first quarter. You were in control really in the first half. The third quarter, the Nets absolutely dominated the Raptors, which is really disheartening to watch. I mean, watching the Raptors, they could not buy a shot, and then they were allowing the Nets to do whatever they wanted, especially on the offensive glass. That was sad. And in the fourth quarter, it was a lot of back and forth. Of course, the Raptors did make a little bit of a comeback. I mean, the game really never got out of hand for the Raptors at any point, I think, in the fourth quarter. And the Raptors did make a comeback. They were down 3, tied it. I think the Nets went up 2. They tied it again with a Fred 2. The Nets scored again. And then I believe that was when Scottie hit the layup. And then it just kept going back and forth, back and forth. Utah hit a 3. And then, Raptors hit a 2, and Kyrie Irving did that. So very difficult. But I guess going into the game, Warren, you're looking at, I mean, for some context, the Nets were one of the hottest teams in the league, if not the hottest team, right? They played
I think they are the hottest team since they got Kyrie Irving back.
Kyrie, yeah.
They said on the broadcast they're
10,
the best
10
team
wins,
in the
3
NBA.
losses, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, Kyrie's came back. They look like the best team in the league, at least in the 13 games they played. Now 14, so they're 11-3 with Kyrie. But yeah, against the Raptors, Brooklyn's won all 3 matchups this season.
4 now, I think. I think that was
it was 3 prior to this game. Now it's 4, exactly. So
yeah, oof.
2 of the 4 weren't close. 2 were close. Raptors were missing Siakam, Fred, and Barnes, I believe, for 2 of the 4 games. Just not great. Going into the game, the Nets were 17-12. I believe they had the 4th offensive rating. 11th offensive rating in the league, 10th defensively, which is much better, Oren, because if you remember, the way that season started defensively for the Nets was horrible. I mean, they could not stop anybody. And I feel like there's a lot more cohesion in their unit, both offensively and defensively. One thing that's helping a lot that wasn't a big thing in this game, Oren, but has been helping him in these 13, 14 games with Kyrie has been Joe Harris. He's been shooting really well from the field. So I think now the role players are starting to understand better where they fit. And Kyrie and Kevin are just kind of doing their thing as per usual, as they've been doing for the last 10 plus years in the NBA, right?
For sure. Yeah. And that's why I was saying give credit to them. Like the Nets just played really, really well today. I felt like compared to we've seen them 4 times this season. We've kind of seen their progression and they just look kind of better, I think, every time we play them. That's not something you can necessarily say for the Raptors, who've had a really up and down season. I feel like the Nets progression has been pretty linear this season. And like role players knocking down shots. Sometimes that's just the difference. I don't know if it was tonight because you did get a really good game from Malachi Flynn off the bench. Like the bench was pretty good. All the Raptors role players played well enough tonight. I think other than Koloko, who, like, if we're just focusing on this game, I know it didn't matter at the end when both teams went small, but Claxton versus Koloko is such a mismatch at this point.
Huge.
Every game it has been. And I think that's honestly where you can say this game has been lost. Like people watching know that Koloko was fed in the post easy, not in the post, at the dunker spot, like so many times. And he either just couldn't finish or he got fouled and couldn't finish. He went 1 for 4 on the night. But yeah, like his finishing is just not very good. He missed Claxton a few times and 15 points to 4 points, and out rebounding him. Like Claxton just had him again. And it's kind of frustrating with Kem Birch on the bench because I just think Kem is ahead of Koloko at this point of their careers. So that's where it's like a little, okay, maybe this is a long-term thing with Koloko, but that's why I just keep going back to like this team needs a starter so desperately. They're like, I'm really willing to overpay for one to get it done sooner than later. Because like if the difference between now and the trade deadline for like a Pirtle is like a 2nd round pick, like just pay it. Like just get this team a normal center. And I think they would have won this game. I not a normal center, I should say like a starting caliber center. So yeah, that was one matchup that definitely stood out to me tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I was just pulling this up as we speak, Oren, and this guy has killed the Raptors this season. I mean, 15 points, so 16 points, almost 11 rebounds, and 4 blocks in 4 games against the Raptors this season. That obviously includes the most recent game tonight, December 16th. And he's been consistent. There hasn't been an up and down with Claxton, right? We're not looking at 2 massive games and 2 duds. We're looking at 19-11, 14-12, 15-9, and 15-10. and 4 blocks, 4 blocks, 3 blocks, 6 blocks. Like this is as weird as this sounds, or this is exactly what the Raptors need. This is
No,
exactly what the Raptors
100%.
need as a center, right? So
He would be great for
I
us.
don't know. Like, do we
He's
do we
switchable.
read do we read the scouting report when we get back to back Scotty Barnes post ups on Nick Claxton that both lead to Claxton blocks? Like, I don't understand why the Raptors as a team understand who the best rim protector, and it's not even close for the Brooklyn Nets. Who it is? It's Nicholas Claxton, and they're attacking him on post ups. And we'll get into post ups a bit later because that was like the storyline of the game early on, at least,
Yeah.
with Scotty Barnes having 7 in the first quarter. Everyone thought Warren he was going to break the single game record. I think Dwight Howard had 35 in a game in 2013-14.
Who's
So
everyone, bro? Were people
I don't know.
talking about this on the timeline? Not on my
On the
timeline.
top, all over for me. People were talking about
Really?
nonstop post ups in the first half. Yeah.
Yeah, no, okay.
Um,
It was definitely a lot.
yeah. So, yeah,
Let's
Nicholas
talk about
Claxton has
that
been
now.
the bane of their existence. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
how did the game start, Oren, for the Raptors? What did you like? What didn't you like? And
Well,
what did you notice, I guess?
I want to talk about the post-ups because you're
Yeah.
right. It was a ton of them. And I'm just looking now, and the Raptors only had 17 assists on the night, which is an awful, awful number, right? I think 25 is kind of what you want to get to. Thank you, Phoenix, for the tip. Yeah, the Knicks are better than us. Appreciate it.
Oh,
Um, so I was listening today to the Nerder She Wrote podcast, which is one of the athletic NBA pods I really like. Shout out Mo Dakhil. Honestly, he's one of my
I love
favorite.
him. I
Me
love
too.
Mo.
He's really
He's
become one of my
amazing.
favorite podcast guests. Like,
Yeah.
I just like his opinion, but also he's funny. And I think he was
Yeah.
saying this about how, yeah, he was like, sometimes the offense, we know what it is. It's mismatch hunting. It's a lot of post ups, but sometimes it just it creates such a groggy game that it actually works to the Raptors' disadvantage, where they can't get in an offensive rhythm because they're just doing they're passing up sometimes even ball movement opportunities for these post ups just to put it in there again and again and again. And like there was definitely too much of it early on in this game with Barnes. And it's like I understand on one hand they want to get Barnes going. He hasn't been going, and he did get going at the end of the game, which we'll talk about. But just in general, 17 assists isn't enough. And so this team needs to kind of figure out ways for the offense to be a little smoother and a little less selfish. Like I think they need to be more patient, make the extra pass a little more often and stuff like that. Because right now, yeah, it's getting really bogged down in these post ups.
Yeah, the offensive rhythm I think just isn't there for Toronto. I think obviously what Nick Nurse would be hoping for with these post ups would be, a post up from Siakam on a mismatch of some sort. Or really, I think Nick Nurse looks at any, Pascal Siakam matchup as a mismatch. Of course, he's not going to attack Ben Simmons play after play after play. But if he can get Royce O'Neal on Siakam, if he can get a guy like Joe Harris, any of the guards of the Nets, even Kevin Durant sometimes on Pascal Siakam when he's exhausted, I think you look at that as a mismatch. But I just don't. I don't with very particular opportunities with Scotty Barnes. I understand in the post up, Samson Folk made a really, really good point during the game. He said something along the lines of, I'm not going to, quote his tweet because I don't think I'll be able to find it in time, but he mentioned how static post ups are not as advantageous for the Raptors, particularly with Scotty Barnes.
Yeah, I think he was talking
And
about Scotty
yeah,
specifically.
he's talking with Scotty Barnes, and he said, the static post ups don't work as well as the bully drives do, which is
Yeah.
true, and that's something that OG Anunoby does a lot, right? He'll take that very hard, aggressive drive to the rim, turn it into a post up, and next thing you know, the defender's underneath the rim, right?
Yeah, and
So,
I think by bully drives, just so what our audience knows, what we mean is exactly what he did to KD at the end there, where he got the and
yeah,
one, where they challenged it for the goaltending. Like that was a bully job where he just put his shoulder into his chest and drove to the basket.
yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's very difficult to watch the Raptors kind of just go, you know what, this entire quarter, 80% of our offensive possessions are just going to be post-ups no matter who's there or what's going on. I think with Nick, you almost have to, with Claxton specifically, I think you almost have to avoid him offensively, Oren. Like that's how much respect I have for him as an interior defender. You have to avoid him just like you would avoid a Jared Allen or
Yeah,
avoid, any other premier shot blocker in the league.
yeah.
Um,
You
and
definitely have to be more aware of him than the
you do.
Raptors were because like it's on a similar point. I feel like there was way too many opportunities where the Nets were able to get out and run because the Raptors kind of made bad decisions,
Mhm.
and either it resulted in a Claxton easy block to a run out, or even like an air ball to a run out. And like looking at these stats, this is actually the third game in a row where the Raptors have had fewer turnovers than their opponent, but fewer fast break points as well, which obviously like shouldn't make sense, but they are not executing in transition. And even like 10 turnovers to me feels a little low. Feels like the Raptors had more than that because, man, or 9 turnovers, I should say. They had some really timely turnovers. Like, really,
Mhm.
Fred was especially culpable, I thought, in the fourth quarter of some really bad turnovers. And yeah, like teams are punishing them for these last 3 games. Teams are just punishing them after the turnovers, whereas the Raptors, who we know force the most amount of turnovers in the league, just haven't been able to punish teams in the same way. Um, so yeah, we should talk
Yeah,
about the positives though
we
at some.
should, and I think you look at the game as a whole, and you see. I mean, Fred Van Vliet, once again, Oren, I talked about him a lot on the last show versus the Kings. Obviously, that came in a loss as well. But Fred Van Vliet with another 39-point game, oddly enough. Not 40, not 38, but 39 points exactly. Shooting another great percentage. He's 14 for 24 from the field. The last 2 games, Oren, he's been 18 for 19 from the free throw line. Which is incredible to see from Fred. He's aggressively attacking the rim, I think better than any guard in the last few games, which is good to see. But just overall, I think Fred is finding a shot. One of the biggest positives I think you can say is that Fred's finally getting in a rhythm, which makes the offense look better as a whole for the Raptors, right? If you have one of your premier scorers on your team who's in a really bad funk, the offense naturally is going to look a lot worse, right? Because Fred is the type of guy, Oren, where even when he's in a funk, he's still going to take his 15 shots, right? He's still going to get his 15, 16, 17 shots, and he's going to put them up. And I think now we're starting to see Fred kind of. I said it. I mean, I said it last week. I think I was with Kyle, where I said I think Fred's just in a slump, and I think it's a matter of time before he has one good game, one bounce back game, and then we start seeing that supernova Fred again, and then it all kind of just equals out like it does every other season for Fred, right? So, yeah, 39 points, 14 for 24. He was 4 for 9 from three. His shots looked great. He rebounded the ball pretty well. Stealing a block, which is almost like a guarantee for any gambling addicts out there who like gambling on that type of stuff for Fred. Um, and then Scotty, who did struggle, or like he did struggle in the first half, and the
Yeah.
second half looked like a totally different Scotty, especially in the fourth quarter. It felt like he was forcing the issue a little bit, and sometimes it was just I think unlucky for Scotty. Like he was getting really good looks at the rim in the first half,
Yeah.
and he just couldn't finish. Right, so Scotty's definitely another positive. What do you think about those 2 games from Fred and Scotty, particularly?
For sure. I'm gonna just search this tweet with everyone watching. It's okay because I wanted to find the numbers on this. But yeah, so Fred, because he wasn't shooting threes at all for so long, kind of had to redefine his game and start to score within the paint a little bit more than we're used to seeing. He's historically the worst, kind of really one of the worst players in the league at finishing at the rim. And over the last 5 games, he's 30 of 46 from 2-point range, which is unheard of for him but yeah, it speaks to like he had to find other ways to score with the 3 ball not going down. And so he's really improving in the paint. And now that the 3-point ball is also going down, that's why he has back-to-back 39-point games. Like when those 2 things are working for him, he's a really good player. And I was with you. I think he is kind of out of this slump a little bit. And yeah, the Raptors need it. He's their only really trustworthy point guard, and he's gonna have the ball in his hands a lot. Um, just because that's how this team is built. But Scotty for sure.
Yeah,
Uh, it's a little annoying that the Raptors can't get everyone in a rhythm at the same time because like before this it was OG and Pascal. Then OG gets hurt. Pascal is now 2 games in a row where he hasn't been good, at least scoring the ball. And now Scotty and Fred seem to have it going. So look, if you're an optimist, you think they're going to all get it going at the same time, and the Raptors are going to pull off a string of wins. Because Scotty in the fourth quarter was just, they went to him. Like, they showed a lot of
Yeah.
trust in him. Pascal didn't have it going. Fred is a limited offensive player, and they went to Scotty again and again, and he was attacking those smaller players with the drive primarily. And I mean, they weren't always smaller players. He was beating KD as well.
Yeah.
So shout out
Which
to
you don't,
Scotty
by the way,
for that
Oren, you don't
performance.
usually see that a lot because when Scotty struggles usually in the first half, Nick Nurse tends to go away from him in the second half. Whereas when
Yeah.
it's Pascal Siakam and Fred, it feels like Nick Nurse has just so much trust in those two guys where if they struggle in the first half, they're still going to get those looks at the end of the fourth quarter in close games, right? And with Scotty, it's, I mean, going into any game for the Raptors, their opponents are naturally going to hone in on Pascal Siakam a lot more, especially late game, right? Because the natural thought would be, okay, this is their best offensive player. He's going to be getting the ball quite a bit at the end of games, and you saw it. I mean, Ben Simmons was on him, but Scotty said, you know what? Ben Simmons is on him one possession and KD's on me. I'll take him, and then if they switch, I'll take him again. And you love to see that type of persistence from such a young player. People forget, like, we have to really remind people, Scotty's a young guy, or like, he's not, we're not talking about a 23-year-old sophomore, 24-year-old sophomore, 24-year-old third-year player. Scotty's a very young player who learns quite literally every single game. And I think it's important to understand, like, we're talking about a kid who turned 21 not too long ago, right? A 2001 born kid. So, damn, I shouldn't have said that out loud because now that hurts. Being born in the mid 1990s.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, that hurt.
he's really young, and so is Christian Koloko, who's been
Yes.
starting at center for the Raptors. I just wrote about this for Yahoo. Like, the Raptors have these 2 different timelines right now, and they're trying to straddle a line where they're playing with both, and there's no precedent really in the NBA of that working well, where a team can win at a high level, as in, like, win multiple playoff series. People keep being like, what about the Grizzlies? What about the Pelicans? Those teams haven't won anything. Like, stop it. Stop. Don't come at me. Those teams haven't won anything, like, other than a few regular season games recently. But yeah, there's not a lot of precedent of winning at a high level and developing a bunch of really young players. And the Raptors are trying to do that. And that's why I'm so in favor of kind of getting a center, because I'm all for developing Barnes and giving him those reps and giving him those minutes. But you got to limit, if you want to win games, you have to limit the other people you're prioritizing. You can't prioritize a bunch of 20-year-olds. And no disrespect but to Koloko, but I just think that he maybe isn't ready, and maybe he shouldn't be prioritized this season on that pecking list. He would be good for some G League time. And yeah, that's why I keep bringing it up. But Barnes, definitely, I am seeing some real growth for him. Like, last game, even just the last 3 games, his defensive execution has just been a lot better, containing the ball a lot better. And after last game, he came in the media room and no one even asked him to, but he just took accountability for the turnovers he threw late in the game against the Kings. And, like, that just shows some maturity compared to the way he was kind of behaving when he asked about being, like, coming off the bench a few weeks back, where he was clearly not happy about it. Like, it just shows a
Yeah.
little bit of maturity. He's moving in the right direction. I think the team's moving in the right direction, but they either need to get healthy or make some trades, because right now, as you saw tonight, I think they played about as well as they could have,
Yeah.
and they still lost to a good team.
A very good team. Yeah. And you look at Scotty with the 2 games in Orlando on the 9th and the 11th of December, he had 6 points, 6 rebounds. And then the next game after that against Orlando, he had 11 points, 2 rebounds. And now he's backed that up with a 27.10 rebound, or sorry, a 27.10 assist, 7 rebound game against Sacramento. And now against Brooklyn tonight, 26 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. And going to the line, this might be the best and maybe most encouraging part of Scotty Barnes' game. Went to the line 11 times, which is, I believe, the most this season. Yeah, I'm looking at the entire season.
Well,
This is the most free throw attempts by a mile this season. The next most was 7 against Brooklyn again. So
I'm glad you brought that up because that to me is the biggest concerning area of his game is that his free throw attempts has gone down from this season from last. And
yeah.
that just like can't happen. Like the more you're in the league, you should be picking up tricks to get to the line. You should be learning that for Barnes is in his case, aggressiveness is what he thrives off. And in this game, you saw it. I don't think he took a single jumper other than maybe 1-3. Otherwise, he was going to the paint relentlessly, and that's kind of how he has to play to just maximize his strength right now. So yeah, the free throws have to go up because having fewer than last season is simply on him, like on his lack of aggression.
I mean, yeah, and then looking at it from, I'm looking at it from the Nets side now, Oren. Kyrie Irving, the 3 games prior to this one, he was the Nets' leading scorer versus the Raptors. In this game, that makes it 4 of 4. Kyrie had 32 points, 13 for 22 shooting. He was 3 for 3 from the free throw line, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. He only had a single turnover in 35 minutes. Played a really, really good game from Kyrie Irving, and that makes it 4. Like I said, for Kyrie Irving, where he led a team has Kevin Durant on the roster in scoring against the Raptors, which is impressive. We haven't even really got into got into depth about his 3-point shot to end the game, but we won't go too crazy on that. We like looking at things from a Raptors perspective on this one. Is there anything, Oren, if we go back to that play that maybe the Raptors could have done different, or do you just chalk it up to, Fred, one of your best point of attack defenders on one of the best offensive players in the league? You just got to take the one-on-one. Maybe do you throw someone else on Kyrie in a situation like that, or 2-3 games? Let's say down the road you're
No.
going against a Lillard or a Curry. Do you do the same thing? What do you think?
Yeah, because remember last time that they lost the game against the Nets, they doubled Kyrie, and then what's
Royce
his name
O'Neal?
got a Royce O'Neal got an open 3. So
Yeah.
if people are like saying they should have doubled, well, you can't have it both ways. So no, I don't mind the coverage. I think just the game was lost way before that. Again, to me, the game was lost at the center position. Claxton just beating Koloko by as much as he did in really every facet of the game. I think that's more than anything where the game was lost, specifically kind of in that third quarter there. But no, I'm not upset. Credit to Katie and Kyrie for the shot making, but the Raptors played well. They really
They
did.
did.
Like I'm
They
not
did.
even mad. I'm not that mad.
We highlighted a comment from Savage who said you can't even hate on Fred tonight, which is the
Well,
truth. You
I
can't.
want to talk about this because a lot of people are, and today
They hate him.
I've been seeing on Twitter for a little while now this subset of Raptors fans who hate Fred, like who
Yeah.
just don't think he's a good player, who thinks he's a ball hog. I think we've had this conversation actually for years. There's always been this subset. It just feels like it's growing super loud around the trade deadline. And I'm so surprised how many people think Fred is going to get traded, even around the league when you hear guys like Zach Lowe talk about it. And like, look, I'm not like plugged in with the Raptors in terms of like having sources in the front office, but when you're around that team, it's just like he's their leader. He's Pascal's best friend. Like, I would be so surprised if they traded him. I think he means just so much more to that franchise than most people think. And that's why I'm so surprised how many people are talking about him like he's this thing
There
that the
was
Raptors need to get off of before paying him.
Oren, there was a Twitter post, and the Raptors do this every single game before pregame of the little walk-ins, right? They get the guys wearing their fits, and Fred has never really been a flashy guy. He's not like Gary Trent Jr. when it comes to fashion, right? He's not coming in with a crazy Balenciaga, um, you know, crazy like looking jersey with
Is that
holes in
what the
it and
people
all that.
want?
So Fred is obviously one of the pictures this today in the pregame, and I think he was just wearing like whatever he normally wears, like a hoodie. I think it was like cargo pants and shoes or something like that. Just a basic fit, right? Nothing crazy. And if you saw the replies to the tweet, like we're talking about, like I know there's trolls in every fan base, but this is becoming like it's crazy now. Like before the game, I was like, guys, we're talking about a guy who struggled a little bit, right, shooting the ball this season. He struggled. I don't want to say a little bit. He struggled quite a bit shooting the ball this season, right? He's been in a slump, just like I think every other Raptor, right? That doesn't give him a pass. He's one of the better players on the team. Sure, he deserves fair criticism. But we're talking about a guy that turned it around against the Sacramento Kings, who put up 39 points, right? Willed the team, tried doing everything he possibly could in that game. And then the first picture people see of him the next or 2 days later, where he's wearing a regular fit, people are like, well, I want this guy traded. And I'm not going to show you guys the replies because you could look at it, right? You just Raptors Twitter, scroll down, you'll see it yourself. I didn't even really want to point it out either, Oren. I was like, should I quote tweet this and just kind of call these people out? There was no point for me because I feel like I'd just be yelling at a crowd that's not really listening. But yeah, it's unfortunate. I think now we're starting to see Fred turn the corner, which is nice to see. And I think we're at the point where we can say, Fred, his confidence is sky high. I think it's very important for the Raptors offense and their defense for Fred to be playing at a high level like this, right? Or let's get into it really quick because I don't know how that didn't feel like 30 minutes, felt like more like five. Let's get into Manscaped really quickly and talk about our great friends over here at Manscaped. And if you guys can see this right here, which you see on your screen, and for our listeners, is called the Platinum Package 4.0. You can see there's already a discount on it. Like, we're not talking about something we're not asking you guys to spend $400 or $500. We're not doing that. It's already 44% off. And you can see the description says a full body luxury grooming and hygiene kit designed to help you look and feel your best. And you guys have heard me say it before. This is where it gets kind of awkward for some people, but balls, they are delicate. They are sensitive and they're easy to damage. And that's why on our post-game show Wrap Up Live, we all use the Lawnmower 4.0. It has skin-safe technology. It has a replaceable ceramic blade. It has an LED light, completely wireless charging system, and it's waterproofed. It's trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. That includes myself and Oren, Aiden, Kyle, everybody on our show. So that's over 4 million balls if you do the math. So join us. Join us on our Manscaped journey. Guys, do not trust those cheap blades at the dollar store. I said it last show. Do not trust them at the gas station. Wherever you guys buy those cheap razor blades that just cut you here, there, everywhere, do not do it. I'm also skin sensitive, Oren, I don't know if you are. So those things don't work for me.
Well, I used to use scissors before getting this Manscaped, and it was always a risky exercise. But yeah, I prefer this. But I gotta say for our listeners, because this is an expensive deal, even though you get the 20% off promo code and everything like that. They have lots of other stuff on the site that isn't so
100%.
expensive. Like, you can just get the lawnmower itself, and I think it's like $60 or something. And yeah, it's a good holiday gift. Holidays are around the corner. Get it for a man in your life. Get it for yourself. Treat yourself. Yeah, let's
treat yourself. Go to manscaped.com. You can check out the Lawnmower 4.0, as well as, like you see on the screen, their luxury grooming bundles. And no matter what you purchase, you can receive free shipping, international shipping, with our show's promo code. So, guys, it's not just our Canadian Raptors fans. It's international shipping free with our promo code RAPUP. That's wrap up, RAPUP, for 20% off and free shipping on your entire order. I'll say it one more time, wrap up, RAPUP, for 20% off and free shipping on your entire manscaped.com order, guys. Amazing holiday gift. I'll tell you that right now. And please, guys, tell us if you do purchase it and let us know what you think as well. Let us know, but do not purchase it without our code. Thank you. Or else, Oren may have to start using scissors again soon. No.
Yeah. I'm done forever, I think, with that one. Do you have anything else to say about the game?
I do not personally. I know the Raptors it's Friday night. The Raptors have the Warriors coming up. You guys see it on the schedule. Sunday night, 6 p.m. I believe Steph Curry is not healthy though, Oren.
Yeah, he's out for a couple weeks. And even also Draymond Green didn't play tonight, but he could be back on Sunday. But man, they showed this schedule on the broadcast, and up until really up until this, man, this is a tough stretch here.
Yeah, I posted this. I actually posted this after the Sacramento Kings game that included this Nets game that we obviously lost. So yeah, Nets, Warriors, 76ers, Knicks, Cavs, Clippers. The Grizzlies look incredible this year. The Suns. The Pacers look much better than people think this season. You got the Milwaukee Bucks and then the Knicks, who also look much better than people would have thought this season as well. No game on this list, Oren, is a guaranteed win. I'm sorry. I'm
No.
not
And
doing it
honestly,
this time.
the Warriors game on Sunday becomes a pretty big one because they've lost 4 in a row now, and the Warriors are going to be without Steph at least. And yeah, the Raptors that's the easiest game on their schedule considering like what we know right now in terms of injuries. They got to win that. And I'm sure others will come winnable, whether it's the Knicks or the Clippers because they barely have their stars, or the Pacers. Like, there are winnable games here, but to snap out of this funk, I think the Raptors really need a win on Sunday. And
They
if
also
they
need a
don't,
win.
we are gonna see pictures of Wemby on the timeline.
It's going to be bad, man. I mean, the Warriors are 14-15 right now as we speak. And guess what their away record is, Oren? Can you guess really quick before I tell you?
Who's ours or
The Golden State Warriors?
Yeah, it's 2-11.
2 wins, 13 losses away from the
Wow.
Chase Center. And they will be
Yeah,
coming to
I wrote in my
Scotiabank
column
Arena.
that these two teams, the Warriors and the Raptors, are going through the exact same problems this season.
Yeah,
and they both
it's
have
unfortunate.
terrible road records. And yeah.
Very unfortunate. And guess what? The Warriors are also, the Raptors are on a 4-game losing streak now.
Yeah, 4.
And the Warriors lost tonight against the 76ers, 118-106. So they're on a 3-game losing streak. Everything's falling apart for both teams, it looks like. Who will bounce back on Sunday night? We will see soon enough. Sunday games are always fun. I would have expected this to be a matinee, Oren. 6 p.m. is fine though. I mean, sure. Not gonna protest. But that does it. I mean, that does it for us. Brooklyn Nets defeat the Toronto Raptors on a game-winning shot from Kyrie Irving. It's unfortunate. Before you guys leave us tonight, I know everyone's sad. Everyone's down in the dumps. But please, if you stayed with us, especially till the end, we need you to like this video. It really does help us out on the algorithm. You guys would not know how much it helps us out. We also need you to subscribe to the Raptors Republic YouTube as well as our podcast channel. This was the wrap-up, your official Raptors Republic live post-game show where your Raptors were defeaed by the Brooklyn Nets 119-116, bringing the Raptors record to 13.
We should say the Can-Am tax man of the night.
Oh, we should. And that's that's pretty
Who do
clear
you want
though.
to give it to? Yeah. Well,
I think
is
it's
it
pretty clear. Are we giving it to Mr. 39 or are we giving it to the guy who bounced back in the second half?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you want to
Who did
split
you guys give it to last night? Who did you give it to?
I gave it to Fred on Wednesday night.
Yeah, exactly. So let's give it to Scotty.
We're gonna give it to the 21-year-old. He's gonna pout in the corner if we don't give it to him. Scotty Barnes, 27 points. What's his stat line? Or we're looking at 26 points, I believe. 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Like I said, 10 for 11 from the free throw line. So Scotty Barnes with a massive bounce back second half in this game, looking like a totally different player. And I know people in the comments, I know you guys are going to say give it to Fred. Fred does deserve it, and we're going to blame it on Oren, guys, if you're sad about it.
That's fine.
But Scotty Barnes is your Can-Am Tax player of the game. We're going to end it off there, guys. We'll see you guys all Sunday night. That was it for myself, Sahal Abdi, and Oren Weisfeld. You guys can follow us on Twitter. Our full name, Sahal Abdi, Oren Weisfeld. We should. I was about to say we should win against the Golden State Warriors, but I'm not saying that anymore. Or 14 wins, 16 losses for the Golden State Warriors. 2-14 now? Was the 76ers game at home? It was. So they are now 2-14 away from home, walking into the Scotiabank Arena. We'll see you guys all next time on Sunday night versus the Golden State Warriors. It should be fun. Take care, stay safe, and happy holidays. It's coming soon.